The Hartono dynasty, Indonesia's silent empire. In Indonesia, one family quietly built an empire so vast that even governments feel its shadow. Every day, millions of Indonesians wake up in this sprawling archipelago, 270 million people scattered across 17,000 islands. They buy their morning coffee, check their bank accounts, light a cigarette on their way to work. And in these ordinary moments, they're feeding an empire they don't even know exists. This is the story of the Hartono family, the richest family in Indonesia, worth over $43 billion. But you won't find them on Instagram. You won't see them in political debates. You won't hear them giving TED Talks about success. Because the Hartonos understand something most billionaires don't. Real power doesn't need a microphone. To understand how the Hartonos rose to the top, we need to go back to the smell of cloves and tobacco. The year is 1951. Post-colonial Indonesia is finding its identity. In the city of Kudus, Central Java, a Chinese-Indonesian entrepreneur named Oei Wiguan starts a small cigarette company. He calls it Djarum, which means needle in Indonesian, a reference to the thin hand-rolled cigarettes his workers crafted. But these weren't ordinary cigarettes. They were kretek, cigarettes mixed with cloves, creating a crackling sound when smoked. This wasn't just a product. It was Indonesian culture in a paper tube. From Jakarta to Bali, from fishermen to businessmen, kretek became the heartbeat of Indonesian social life. But in 1963, tragedy struck. A massive fire destroyed the Djarum factory. Oei Wiguan died in the blaze. The company should have died with him. Instead, his two teenage sons, Robert Budi Hartono, just 23, and Michael Bambang Hartono, 24, made a choice that would change Indonesia forever. They rebuilt. But they didn't just rebuild the factory. They rebuilt the entire business model. The brothers were opposites in many ways. Robert, the strategist, quiet, calculated. Michael, the operator, hands-on, detail-oriented. Together, they formed something rare, a partnership without ego. By the 1970s, Djarum wasn't just surviving. It was dominating. Millions of cigarettes produced daily. Thousands of employees. Market share growing year after year. They sponsored badminton teams. Funded community programs. Became embedded in Indonesian identity. But here's what made them different from other Indonesian tycoons. While others fought for the spotlight, the Hartonos stayed in the shadows. While others made enemies, the Hartonos made profits. And this philosophy would be tested when Indonesia faced its darkest economic hour. The Asian financial crisis hits like a tsunami. The Thai baht collapses. The contagion spreads to Indonesia. The rupiah loses 80% of its value in months. Banks are failing. Businesses are closing. The Indonesian economy is in free fall. President Suharto, who ruled for 32 years, is forced to resign. Political chaos. Economic devastation. Social unrest. For most Indonesian billionaires, this was a time to protect wealth. Move money overseas. Wait for stability. The Hartonos saw something else. Opportunity. Bank Central Asia, BCA, was Indonesia's largest private bank. Founded in 1957, it had grown into a pillar of Indonesian finance. But in 1998 it was on life support. The government had to seize it to prevent total collapse. Billions in bad loans. Depositors fleeing. Bankruptcy seemed inevitable. Most investors wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. But the Hartonos had spent decades watching Indonesia's economy. They understood something others didn't. Indonesia wasn't dying. It was transforming. The population was young and growing. Urbanization was accelerating. A new consumer class was emerging. And all of them would need a bank. In 2002, when the government finally privatized BCA, the Hartonos made their move. Through their investment vehicle, Ferindo Investments, they acquired a controlling stake in Bank Central Asia. The price? A fraction of what it would be worth a decade later. Critics called it risky. Some called it reckless. History called it genius. Under the Hartonos' ownership, BCA transformed. They modernized operations, expanded digital banking, built the largest ATM network in Indonesia. Today, BCA has over 1,200 branches, 18,000 ATMs, 30 million customers, and market capitalization exceeding $60 billion. From street vendors accepting QR payments to corporations managing billions, BCA became the circulatory system of Indonesia's economy. And every transaction, every swipe, every digital payment feeds the machine. But here's what most people don't know. Djarum and BCA are just the beginning. The Hartono empire spans dozens of sectors. Through Grand Indonesia, they own some of Jakarta's most valuable real estate. The Grand Indonesia Shopping Mall, where the Indonesian elite shop, dine and see and be seen. Polytron, one of Indonesia's largest electronics manufacturers. In millions of Indonesian homes, a Polytron TV sits in the living room, carrying the Hartono name without anyone knowing. Palm oil plantations, food production, agricultural supply chains. The cooking oil in your kitchen? There's a chance it came from a Hartono plantation. But the empire doesn't stop at Indonesia's borders. Healthcare in Singapore, technology startups in Silicon Valley, real estate in Australia. The Hartonos have quietly diversified across continents, across industries, across risk profiles. This is the Hartono strategy. 1. Control the essentials. Tobacco, banking, food, real estate. Things people need regardless of economic conditions. 2. Diversify ruthlessly. Never depend on a single industry. Never put all eggs in one basket. 3. Think in generations, not quarters. While other companies chase short-term profits, the Hartonos build for decades. 4. Stay invisible. Let the businesses shine. Keep the family in the shadows. This last principle might be the most powerful. In an age of personal brands and social media billionaires, the Hartonos are an anomaly. Elon Musk tweets his way through controversies. Jeff Bezos makes headlines with space rockets. Mark Zuckerberg testifies before Congress. The Hartonos? You'll barely find a photograph. No interviews. No autobiographies. No documentaries until now. They've never written a book about success. Never given a commencement speech. Never appeared on a talk show. What? Because they understand what most don't. Visibility creates vulnerability. Fame creates enemies. Silence creates invincibility. Over the decades, Indonesia has seen the fall of Suharto, the rise of democracy, economic booms and busts, political upheavals and reforms. Through it all, the Hartonos remained untouched. Not because they avoided politics, they were deeply connected, but because they never made themselves the story. While other tycoons faced corruption charges, public scrutiny, political persecution, the Hartonos stayed clean. Not necessarily because they were saints, but because they were smart enough to never be the tallest poppy. And here's the brilliant part. Most Indonesians interact with the Hartono empire multiple times a day without ever knowing it. Your bank card? Hartono. Your morning cigarette? Hartono. The mall you shop at? Hartono. The TV in your home? Possibly Hartono. Millions of microtransactions, billions of macro profits, zero public recognition. This is power without fame, wealth without celebrity, empire without ego. So what can we learn from the Hartono dynasty? Lesson 1. Patience is power. The Hartonos didn't build their empire in a decade. They built it over 3 generations. While others chased get-rich-quick schemes, the Hartonos played the long game. Every decision made with the next generation in mind. Lesson 2. Crisis is opportunity. 1963 factory burns down, they rebuild and expand. 1998 financial crisis, they buy the bank. 2008 global recession, they diversify globally. When others panic, the prepared profit. Lesson 3. Diversification is survival. One industry can fail. One market can crash. One regulation can destroy a business model. But when you're in everything, you're never dependent on anything. Lesson 4. Silence is strength. In the age of personal branding, the Hartonos prove that anonymity is an asset. No scandals. No controversies. No public failures. Because you can't attack what you can't see. Today, as Indonesia stands as the world's 4th most populous nation, one of Asia's fastest growing economies, and an emerging global power, the Hartono family remains at its center. Worth over $43 billion, controlling assets worth hundreds of billions more, employing hundreds of thousands, touching millions of lives daily. And as the next generation of Hartonos prepares to take the helm, one thing is certain. The empire built on smoke and silence isn't fading. It's growing. In Indonesia, the most powerful family is the one you've never heard of.